Hi, I'm Alegría Ribadeneira. I am an associate professor of Spanish and the head of the languages program at Colorado State University in Pueblo. Today I'm going to be sharing some projects that we use in our classrooms that mix heritage language learners with second language learners. We find that project-based learning is definitely the way to go when we're trying to build our students' proficiency. I hope that you find the projects useful. So the project I will present on this video is definitely one of my favorite projects. I have been using it on all my heritage language learner introductory classes with great success. So I'm very excited to share it. This project is the News Magazine project. For this project, students produce a 4-minute video segment about a problem in society that concerns them. For the project, each student seeks information from an authentic article on the web, gather opinions from the community through interviews, and also make a presentation in the classroom for everybody after the videos have been watched. The first thing I do is give them a project handout, and this is very important because it really helps them pace themselves and understand all the components of the project, all the steps and the timeline, and also how they will be graded. I find that students are very thankful to have this because it really breaks it down for them and is not as overwhelming if they have everything in advance. Also, students who may need a little extra time can use the handout to plan out better and seek help if needed. The project components are 5. The first one is a resource and research item with vocabulary words. So the students need to go to decide on a problem first, of course, and then they need to find an article on the internet in the target language that relates to their topic. And it could be a newspaper article, it could be a web page, whatever they want. They usually go on the internet. And they have to pick 15 vocabulary words or expressions that are useful for the report. And they have to list them and define them. This to me is a wonderful activity because they get to pick what vocabulary is truly important to them to talk about the specific problem that they are interested in. So this is not a vocabulary word that I impose on them, but actually a vocabulary word that they find on their own and then probably absorb a lot better than if I were to give them a bunch of vocabulary. The second component is an interview and transcript. So they have to find someone to interview in Spanish in order to find their opinion about the topic or the problem that they are exploring. They have to create 5 to 8 questions, and they have to transcribe the interview on paper. It doesn't need to be word by word, but there has to be a good amount of notes that I can see that they have done. Sometimes the second language learners are not very lucky finding people who will speak to them in Spanish because they don't have family members or friends. But I set up a group of people at our language center, international students, student workers, or heritage language learners who can talk to them. And they sometimes end up meeting wonderful people through this. The third component is the script. So they have to write a 2-page script that they are going to read out loud as part of their video. And on the script, they have to have 2 parts. They have to have a summary of the problem or challenge, and they have to have a summary of the interview and opinions of the community. And this script is going to be read on the video, which is the 4th component. The 4th component, the 4-minute video presentation, has then the reading of the script, where they summarize the problem and the interview, and then they have an unscripted part that is something that they just have to make up in the moment, and that is their opinion. I love having both the scripted and the unscripted. The students can read, and I am absolutely happy that they do. A lot of my heritage speakers actually have a hard time reading out loud, and so this is a great experience for them. And then of course, doing spontaneous speech might be a little tougher for the second language learners, so this is an ability that they can practice through this project. The final component is the question and answer activity. So each person gets to watch at least 6 videos from their classmates and write 3 questions, and then they bring them to class. And we do this really neat presentation format that is like speed dating, and it works out very well because the students get to talk about their video in a different way, in a spontaneous way, and they get to ask questions, answer questions, and it is a culminating activity for sure. For the steps and the timeline, I use 4 weeks. It certainly could be adapted for more weeks if needed. But on the first week, they have to pick a topic, think of possible people to interview and contact them, conduct research online and find the item that they will use to inform themselves about the topic, and generate possible questions that they will ask their interviewees. Parts of this can be done in class and others can be done on their own. On the second week, they have to get the article, read it, print it, extract vocabulary, and make their vocabulary sheet. They have to set up interviews and conduct them and transcribe them, and they have to write the first draft of their script. I say first draft because they always get a chance to rewrite the script, and this helps them understand that nothing is ever done, only do. But also it gives them a chance to get better at it. So definitely at least 2 drafts for this. On week 3, they rewrite their script. They also videotape their presentation and they upload to Blackboard. And they turn in their research item, their vocabulary words, the transcript of the interview, and the final script. So I can take a look at all of those things. Finally, on week 4, they watch the assigned presentations, write 3 questions on a sheet of paper, and then they come to class, they present the summary, and they participate in the question and answer activity and turn in the questions. The reason why they are assigned versus allowing them to watch whatever they want is because for the question and answer activity, I do this speed dating type activity where I make sure that everybody who's listening has watched the video at least, or at least one person has watched the video. And I'll show you how that works here in a minute. They get a rubric, and here they can see everything that is expected for them to do. It is based on each of the components. But also notice that they get grades for certain things just for turning them in. So very low stakes. Such as the article and the vocabulary words, the interview questions, and these things are things that everybody can succeed. The other ones are a little more high stakes, but I still give them a chance to do them and redo them, and this way they can just get better at it and make sure that if they want to, they can get a good grade. Also, because there's some written aspects and some spoken aspects, we have some skills that are going to be developed for the heritage language learners and some skills that are going to be developed for the second language learners that they may be needing to practice. They get extra materials. They get guidelines for the script, guidelines for the video. I show them a model video because maybe they've never done one before, so we want to make sure that they know exactly what it is that they should be doing. And also we talk about lighting, we talk about background, we talk about looking at the camera, all these things that are important for the 21st century skill of presenting yourself on video. We also talk about the presentation format, and they get a listening sheet, which I will show you because I find that when people are doing presentations and the listeners have nothing to do, they usually tune out. So the listening sheet is something that I use to make sure that they don't, and is part of their grade. So for the structure of the video, I make sure that they know that they have a read part and then a spontaneous speech part, and that they also are supposed to give advice. If you look at the handout, you're going to see that there are also certain things that I try to remind them to do in order to make the video a good video. For example, not talking like a robot, or projecting their voice, or enunciating, and definitely looking at their background and their lighting. For the presentation, I was telling you a little while ago how I like to do a speed dating type thing. So as you can see in this chart, I have 3 groups of students and each one has a number. So the first row gets to present first. That would be Rogelio, Tiffany, Valeria, Angelina, Jasmine, etc. They get to present, and then the 2 other groups get to listen. And then Rogelio presents once to Alejandra and Michela, and then after he's done presenting, he moves to the second group, the third group, the fourth group. This means that each one of them will present 10 times. And though this may seem like a lot, this goes very fast, plus it gets them a chance to answer at least 10 questions spontaneously, which makes for very interesting presentations. So while they are presenting all these times, the other students are listening. And to make sure that they are listening, they get a listening sheet where they have to write their name, the topic of the presentation they heard, the problem that was presented to them, maybe one of the solutions, and something interesting that they heard. They turn this sheet in for grades, and this makes sure that they are active listeners to those presentations. So some of the topics that they have chosen are aging, abortion, pollution in Cuba, abortion in Nicaragua, child abuse, child labor, obesity, poverty in Florida, violence against women, stress, drug abuse among adolescents, alcoholism, our water, teenage pregnancy, school bullying. We have also had presentations on migration, immigration, Dreamer Act. But what I like to do is really offer my students an opportunity to choose their own topics. Some of them will choose topics that we would think of as HL topics, but some of them won't. And that, to me, is absolutely fine. I want them to talk about something that truly interests them. And this certainly gives them that opportunity. There certainly can be adaptations and variations to this project. The components could be altered. Definitely more scaffolding if it was going to be done with a group with a language level that was lower. The time could be certainly expanded and the expectations could be different. So I really think that this project can be done at different levels. Well, I certainly hope that you found this project useful. Happy teaching!